watching the Edward Fowler Show. Now, Edward Fowler.
And a very good evening, everyone watching us live here on YouTube. We are hoping you're enjoying the show so far. And we're here officially now, live on YouTube.com, with my guest tonight, joining us all the way from, I believe, Canada. I could be wrong. It's a pleasure to have on this person who I've enjoyed watching on social media. His name is Samuel, and his last name is... Now, I might mispronounce your second name, so I might let you do the honors, actually, because I might mispronounce it and mess it up for everybody in the chat and watching live. So, over to you. How do you pronounce your second name?
Miele. I'm not sure over in England where you're about, but over by us, Miele is a popular dishwasher brand. So typically, I can say to people, "Hey, my name is spelled just like a dishwasher brand." But I'm not able to do that with you because I'm not sure your audience might understand that. But there you go.
Well, we do have dishwashers over here, so they may get the joke.
Perfect. That works for me.
Yeah. But no, again, as I was saying to you before we came live here, that no, it's a pleasure because I did reach out to you, and again, I wasn't sure if you would have seen my message, my reach out, but when you did see that, what was your, I guess, reaction when you saw it?
I thought it was fantastic. I remember when I was starting my podcast before I was on the news forum, and I distinctly remember really trying to, reach out. You do cold outreach. You never know if anybody's going to respond. And you were great because you reached out to me on all platforms, which I actually thought was genius. And you managed to get my attention. I may not see my requests here, but I see my requests over here. You knew who you wanted to interview and you chased it. And I think that is a fantastic way to approach things. So I admired the tenacity and the ambition, and I thought, well, of course I'm going to do an interview with Edward.
Well, I appreciate that, and you're welcome. As people say in one of my testimonials on my website, is that I'm very much persistent in my
Yes.
in my approach.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely felt that.
Well, at least that's a compliment. That's the main thing. But no, it's it's great, and I do like your work and your style and the way you present yourself and the topics you're discussing. And I would like to know, firstly, is when you are presenting, because I believe, I could be wrong, is it you produce or involved in?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah, and so are you involved in the setting up of the show, by the way, and like the stories you want to just
Yes, I am.
bring it to the air?
Yeah, I definitely am. And, I love that because with the network, I get a lot of creativity, which is a fantastic thing because it allows me to shape and mold as I need. Of course, they're there to keep me in check. I'm big, keeps me in check and make sure that, when I speak, they've really molded me to have a solutions focused and oriented conversation. Not enough people have that. And so that's always at the premise, at the bottom, primary reason why I do my show and why I enjoy it is because every conversation we have has to end with a needle pushing discussion. So we have to basically come up with potential solutions moving forward. Not just have the discussion and say that there's a problem, but critically think it out. And so every show that we do, it's always about critical thinking and pushing the conversation forward, pushing the needle forward, and just having solutions. In saying that, the particular interests that I have in those discussions, well, they range from everything around politics, though politics may not interest me as much as policy does. So policy, as I'm sure you've seen, Edward, has been a big discussion on our end of things. But then now I'm leaning a little bit more into also starting in my show. I talked a lot about some moral issues, and now I'm kind of leaning back into that as well. And then, of course, having more discussion around, like we just did one on free speech. So hammering that in, or any trending topics that I feel have a broader discussion involved that I feel, we could really tackle. Free speech here in Canada has been up for conversation quite a bit, as well as family values with the passing of Charlie Kirk. That was something he stood firm on certain family values. And I thought, well, I know that that's something that's up for discussion now with low fertility rates. So why don't we have it? And so I get a lot of creativity, is all I'm trying to say, but I definitely have a main premise for what I try to accomplish in each show. And I hope that comes across on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely does. And you mentioned about Charlie. There's a broadcaster who you are, I guess, into as well. We might have freezing issues, but I am still here. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but you should be able to, hopefully.
Yes.
Perfect. The Wi-Fi is quite bad today. Where I live, I don't know why, but we have paid the bill, so the Wi-Fi should be much better than it should be.
Perfect.
If you watch other episodes of this channel, you will see that the actual quality is a lot better, but for some reason it is not today. I don't know why. Don't blame me. But yeah. So again, you mentioned about Charlie Kirk, and of course, it was very sad what happened to him last month. Can't believe it's been a month now already. But I mean, were you a follower of his work and keeping up with what he was up to in the world of politics?
Yeah, I definitely on the policy side of things, I aligned with what I've heard him say. I don't exactly know what he stands for on every issue, so I'm hesitant to say, stand for absolutely everything that he said. But I mean, no matter what you say, is an extremely tragic thing, and it really cut me off guard. Around the family value side, yeah, I'm a big proponent. I grew up with a stay-at-home mom, and I really credit that to who I am as a man today. I'm not saying that that's necessary. I'm saying, could it help? Potentially, yes. But that was definitely something that I heard him talk a lot about. And then also on the policy side of things, I aligned in some capacity, maybe not on foreign policy, but specifically in the States, as I had followed that quite closely. And I've covered that on my show, as well as discussions around, what's happening in Canada too. The biggest thing that I admired about Charlie, and the biggest thing that I admire, I should say, in general about everybody, is people who stand for truth and what they believe to be true. Could the approach have been potentially better? Sure, but I admire the tenacity and ambition to fight for what truth object. And I think we need more people to do that. That is the biggest thing that I was impacted by. And so it's really motivated me to stand for more of the objective truths that I be in, and to really discuss what those objective truths are, and to fight for those, and to have conversation about some of the subjective truths, where we draw those lines, and kind of move from there. So that has molded some of my discussions on the show.
Okay, that's understandable. That's understandable. But I mean, again, that somebody could have a different opinion from you and me, and if we were in an open place somewhere, and if someone didn't agree with what we were saying, then they would, could just easily end someone's life so easily
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
USA. Obviously, over here, and I'm sure in Canada, there's different rules about guns and such. I could be wrong. I'm not that familiar with your gun laws in Canada, but I'm sure they're very different to America. In
And I know the gun laws was a issue that Charlie talked a lot about. There are consequences to anything. In fact, consequences that is typically associated with negative outcomes. However, it's not always a negative outcome. In fact, it's just simply saying, this is a consequence of a decision you made. This is the effect of the decision that you made. And so to say that there is an aligned consequence for violence around speaking your opinions is disgusting to me. And I think that, quite frankly, we need to allow for open dialogue. And I get concerned that, yes, while you're right, there are social consequences for things that people say in public. I feel that leans now, you're starting to lean into making people who think it's okay to be violent around what people say actually be violent. The social consequence for what somebody says, I think should actually be just other people speaking their views against what that other person believes. And I mean, that's what Charlie really stood for was, I mean, he welcomed anybody to the mic, right? Now, could he have maybe done it in a more empathetic way sometimes? Sure, absolutely. But that's probably my view on it. I don't know where you stand with that, but I just think that when we start using the term that social consequences, there's social consequences for the things that you say. You're right, and we that is true. But where do we draw the line in saying, okay, there are social consequences too. There will always be social consequences. And now, what he says now demands social consequences. Well, then where do we draw the line for what those social consequences are?
Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
I do. I do. Yeah. I do. You make a very good point. You do indeed. And I would like to know as well, if we just change the subject, is your broadcast journey. When did you what made you go into this basically? And did you have anybody inspiring you when you were younger and think, yep, that's what I want to do with my life?
Yeah, you know what? I always just kind of had a knack for talking.
Really?
I don't know what it was, and I don't know what makes you a good talker. I think in some capacity, it's just subjective to the individual. Like, hey, you are a good talker because you can keep me engaged. Okay, great. But as it really honed my ability to interview, to ask questions, to practice genuine curiosity,
Yeah.
and from there, practicing that, I was then able to say, wow, okay, this is going well. So to grow it, I did street interviews. I thought that'd be fun. And then I had a friend of mine say, you should do politics. So I just tried it. And so I started interviewing people on politics and policy, and I started having fun with it. And it started doing well. And then I got noticed by a forum, and the news forum reached out. And the rest is, in some ways, history. But I would say I just kind of chased the excitement in speaking and in discovery and investigation, and I embraced my curiosity. And that's really what led me here today doing the show now. I'm almost on 100 episodes. I'm at 96 right now.
That's cool. That's very cool. And you've done probably a lot more than I have in, in that consistency of two
Thank
years
you.
without any break. So that's all credit to you. No, Mister, no holidays for you, I guess.
I try not to. In fact, on December 31st, I launched an episode that is arguably my best episode because of the guest that I had. And yeah, I didn't miss a holiday because you know what? His holiday wasn't that so bright a year before that. And I wanted to share that story on the holiday to really give people perspective on life in general.
Mm, mm. And I hope he's doing okay to him when a year after that incident, and hopefully he will be okay now, and hopefully getting the right support he needs as well to give him a purpose in life. That he's here to do something, not to do that obviously, but maybe that was his story is to spread that, to show you're not alone and that there is help out there. You just need to reach out and admit it and grab it. I know it might be hard to do so, obviously, but it is worth it when you know that the help is.
Yeah. And, you asked me, Edward, as well, who I looked up to. I always looked up to people, thought, oh, I'd love to do what they do, but I always thought that I could have a unique edge to it, like maybe say Charlie Kirk really admired his knowledge. He just knew so much. And he had done such a good job at articulating his thoughts. And I thought, I really admire that. Whether what you believe in was right doesn't matter. Is that he articulated his thoughts really well. So I would love to be able to do that. Or, you know, um, Van Jones is very passionate when he speaks, and they're two complete contradictories. Or Obama was phenomenal at selling a vision. He was a big visionary. So I kind of pulled things from people to try and craft who I could be. And I want that to be the guy who can speak with people empathetically, understand them, but also stand for truth and encourage them to critically think through asking good questions.
Mm.
And that to me is really what pushes me. And sometimes I may stray from that, but I really try to stay on path to that.
Yeah, well, you do a phenomenal job, and you made history tonight, by the way, because you're the first Canadian I guess, journalist to come on the show. So thank you so much
Oh, well,
for that.
beautiful.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
I thought that would make
That's
you feel
amazing.
good in a good way, and that's
That's
the truth.
awesome.
That is the truth. You're the first disastrous. Wait,
You had talked about your story, and it goes to story, and you up, but not too much. I hadn't.
that's good to know. That's good to know. So at least you've found that I was legit before you decided to accept, which is good. That's the main thing,
Yes,
obviously. But I mean, as well, we want to know, I guess, any challenges you face.
life is not worth living. And as a young person, I grew up in a Christian conservative household, and that's what I believed. And I wanted to change. And starting my television show, just being 19 years old,
Wow.
I didn't know what truth was. I thought I knew, but I didn't know. And I feel that the last 2 years has been me examining what truth objectively is and what I stand for. A lot of people stand for a lot of things, Edward, but a lot of people don't know why they stand for them. Or if they were challenged, they couldn't defend why they stood for it. And you see, for 2 years, I struggled to understand what I stood for. And that to me was horrible. I felt like a feather in the wind.
Hmm.
But over time, reading books, debating with other people, conversing with other people, hearing other people's views, understanding other perspectives, and trying to come together with all the perspectives I possibly could and make my decision for what I believed with a backing of what I believe truth to be. Well, that was a big challenge, but it's the thing to me that will set me on the course for the rest of my life. I discovered that at an early age. Now, even to this day, I'm not sure I know exactly what truth is, but I feel that I know what truths I stand for. And so in saying that, I have my opinions, I have my views, and in deeper, more meaningful conversations around those particular issues, which we could have at another time, I'm prepared to stand for those. But finding truth, I think, is one of the things that our generation needs to focus on more, that I don't believe they do. Yet, if they did, if they found truth and they examined all options of what truth could be to them, then I think we'd have a more productive, a less depressed, less anxious, more content, and overall more productive society, at least with Gen Z.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not every day you get to launch a TV show at 19, and I don't
Yeah.
know to do so or if you are in a records book. But if you're not, then perhaps you should be. I don't know anybody else who has got themselves on TV at that young age, their own TV show. So all credit to you. Obviously you caught the eyes of the people who think, yep, you've got talent. So let's reward you. And a good point as well, because I mean, it is. I do see a lot of stories on the internet of Gen Zs, and it's quite funny because it goes through a lot of different decades. The Gen Zs, obviously, you got it starting in, I think it's 1995 or 96 when Gen Zs began, and then of course it lasted to 2012. So when they put all these Gen Zs under the same bracket, they don't actually represent the entire Gen Zs, because most of them from 96 to, I don't know, let's say 2010 perhaps, I don't know, maybe a bit younger, might not agree with the views of the
That when you can stand for certain moral truths objectively, not subjectively, because, a variety of subjective truths, then really nothing is true, right?
Hmm.
So if you can figure out what objective truths you stand for, what is objective truth, and figure that out, then I think everything else kind of becomes easier, because now you have a guiding line for what is truth and what do I stand for. And if something comes at you that you agree or you disagree with, you can understand why based on the guiding line that you've set for yourself for what you believe to be the truth. And I think that that's where we get a lot of confused Gen Zs. And I'm even talking on a simple level, people who are in school right now in university who just graduated, who don't know what they want to do with their life. Well, you may argue, well, I don't think that discovering my truths will help me. Well, I actually disagree, because I think a lot of our age group feels lost. And I think that if they could understand what they stand for and what they truly believe in, that'll give them a purpose and a passion and meaning that they can then chase in whatever it is that they do. So they can realize that their value isn't tied up in what job they work, but instead what they do every day, their purpose or what makes them fulfilled. But when you don't understand that, then you're just aimlessly blowing like a feather in the wind at the beginning and at the end of Forrest Gump.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. Good answer. I did like answer. Of course, I don't debate my guests on this show because most of the time I agree with them. So I am in agreement with you. So this is a nice, relaxing conversation, and this is how it goes. I don't know if you had the chance to.
There is a part of me, I will say, Edward, really quick. There's a part of me that does love just a good debate. And when I'm in the mood to just debate, oh, I go and I go. But I will say, I do feel, if you know me personally, you know that if we're conversing and I disagree with something you've said and, we can really get to the bottom of it. If I feel that I don't have a leg to stand on, I'll admit it and I'll say, good point.
Yeah.
So I think that that's important. But yeah, when I'm on my show and, I've got a great panel that disagrees, oh, man, is it fun. It's too much fun.
It's like the Piers Morgan Uncensored, isn't it? When you get a good old people debating with each other, and you can get your neck in a good TV.
Yeah. No, you are absolutely right.
Yeah, 'cause I was going to ask you about that when it comes to the time when you may actually get the wrong end of the stick and actually have to apologize and be the better man and actually apologize, because many people do get things wrong but then deny that they ever said it on TV or on anything, and then they show the clip and and they still somehow make up an excuse. So I do like how you will admit when you're wrong, which I'm sure is very rare. Wrong as well. So that's a good I guess.
Well, you make a good point. I don't think I've ever had to apologize for something, though I will say my stats have never been absolutely perfect. I remember one show way back when my stats were a little bit questionable. So where I got that was a good learning lesson for me. And, the network sat me down and said, look, like we have a standard to uphold. And, I have a standard to uphold as well. But for them, from a business standpoint, for me, it's from a reputation standpoint. To me, both are equally as important. Reputation I deeply care about. So I don't want to, drift too far off.
No.
So I had to address some of that. But in saying that, I really, when you keep an open mind, but also critically think, then you asking questions, you should never have to apologize for asking a question. There should really never be a question that's, in my opinion, maybe off the table. If somebody doesn't want to answer it, that's fine. But keep with questions and ask the right questions and critically think about those questions. So if I'm having a conversation about a certain policy and you get mad at me because of a question that I asked, well, in my view, I'm not apologizing. Conversation that people can then engage with.
Good point. I like that point. And actually on that point as well, because you mentioned about asking questions that are not off the table. Now, with me, I like to ask any question. People say to me all the time that I don't know what you're going to come out with out of my mouth. So I am a very much a loose cannon. So I could probably get as they say in the TV world, cancel probably for some of the things I could come out with. So you yet or anything like that in
moral discussions, understanding that there is no winning this. So don't try and win it. There's no winning. And that is one thing that I've had to learn. Even in my friend group circles, a lot of times there's no winning discussions unless somebody is like, you're not going to win a discussion unless somebody is open to allowing you to win. So don't have the discussion to try and win if they're not open to it. Right. And that's one thing that I've really had to learn and dissolve within myself or absolve within myself, is that I need to take ownership for recognizing when somebody is willing to listen, willing to allow themselves to lose if I'm trying to win a conversation. But I think when you approach it empathetically, then you are able to get to the deeper heart of the issue or the deeper discussion. I interviewed the former chief economist and vice president, senior vice president of the world of the global bank from 2008 to 2013, I believe. And he's from China. And we discussed. I read his book. I read the Moran report. One of Trump's head economic advisors, and we had a deep discussion about United States and China's trade relation. He definitely shared a different view than maybe what I had done research on,
Mm.
but I had approached it empathetically. And of course, he wanted to invite me down to Beijing and grab lunch with him. So
That's cool.
when you try and win a conversation when somebody's not willing to let you win, there's kind of no point.
Mm.
In my view, you're not pushing the needle forward. So reframe the discussion to then make it so that the listeners might actually have something to hear. With my friends, I'll tell you this though, Edward. Sorry to keep this going, but
No,
with
I'm
my friends,
happy. I'm happy. You're the guest. I like the interaction with
thank
you.
you. With my friends, there have definitely been times where I've turned them off, in personal circles for sure. I would argue that that was maybe when I didn't fully understand that you don't really win conversations when somebody's not willing to lose.
Mm.
And so when you force yourself, yeah, that can push people away. And so especially as they believe what their truths are, and then obviously maybe my truths contradict with theirs. They're not always willing to have conversations about that. That to me is an enjoyable, critically thought out conversation that I enjoy having, but it is what it is. So, you try and redeem those relationships, and you always approach it empathetically at the end of the day. And I don't think what you say can forever be held against you.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, with those, because as people say as well, is it worth losing a friend over a debate as well, isn't it? And you have to be, I guess, extra careful when having discussions with your friends, because your friends may think the same as them, but then as soon as you then open your mouth and start talking about the issue, whatever it may be, it then turns out you actually do not disagree with that person or those people, and that can cause a hurt of all sorts, and you don't want that.
Yeah, you're definitely right. It certainly can, and it's been something that's really challenged my thinking.
Yeah.
You're not always, you can be the smartest person in a room, but you don't have to act like it.
Yeah.
And so, but I also think that you should know and want to stand for certain things. So, if somebody makes a comment and says something, which they have, that I fully disagree with, whether it be a client or a friend, quickly within 5 to 10 seconds, I'll weigh the pros and cons to engaging in that discussion.
Got you.
And from there, then you can move it forward. But typically, if it's emotional, there's no point. If it's like a client, why am I going to try and tear down their emotional wall to then have an open discussion? I don't gain anything from it, right? So that's kind of the main idea for me there.
Yeah, or even try to win them over as well, perhaps with a conversation. So yeah, so I get where you're coming from with that. I got to say as well, because I think I'd be a fool if I didn't. Many people who I've spoken to about your appearance on my show tonight have all said that you're in great physical shape. So some
Thank
people
you.
are asking, what do you do outside of broadcasting? Are you going to the gym or something? Are you doing lots of running? How are you keeping, I guess, as they say, fit and healthy and staying in great shape?
I really appreciate that. I don't get that too much, but when I do, I get close to my heart for a good week. So I appreciate it. It's funny. I remember, I don't have good accountability. I'm not good at just going to the gym on my own. And I tried it for years. And I know it's something important. I don't debate that. And it's important for your mental health. It gives you a good break. And in some sick and twisted way, me suffering for an hour working out is a great way to just forget everything else that's going on. Like I don't go on my phone during that hour. I like it.
Yeah.
What I started about 3 years ago was I started personal training at a gym. It was LA Fitness. I started personal training, and then the trainer left and kind of just did his own thing. And so I actually ended up just sticking with the trainer. And we've been doing that twice a week for the last 3 years, not missing most weeks. I mean, sometimes when I'm away, but try and make it up. So I've been doing that. Plus, I also have been doing Orange Theory each week, one time a week for the last 2 years. And then on top of that, I've run I did a half marathon. I've done Tough Mudders, Spartan runs. I thoroughly enjoy athletics. Don't want to lose that. And so I'm currently working out about 3 times a week on average. And that's enough for me. But I don't go myself. I go to either Orange Theory where they have a class, or I go personal training, and it just keeps me clear in the head. It allows me to reset. And I also know that without health, you're nothing. And I thought, well, maybe I could start at 30 years old doing more. But then I think to myself, well, why not now?
Mm.
Why, if not today, then when?
Yeah.
And if I can't answer the question, why not at 30, then I'm going to do it now.
Yeah, good.
Right?
Good point. Yeah, good point. So to my audience, then, if you don't mind me asking, again, is a personal question, so you can say
Yes.
no. But how old are you at the moment? I'm gonna say you're not 30. So if you say you're 30
Definitely
right
not
now,
30.
I would be shocked because you definitely do not look 30 to me. So
Well, thank you, Edward.
before you
Yeah.
answer, let me take a guess if that's okay.
Yes, go.
Okay. So I will say probably, I don't know, 20, 21. That'd be my guess.
Good guess. Good guess. I just turned 22 on the 11th of October. So
All right. Well, happy belated birthday. I did wish you a happy
thank
belated
you.
birthday because I saw you were sharing some things on Instagram about your birthday. I thought, oh, I didn't realize, so that's why I reached out to you to wish you a happy belated birthday. So I hope you had a good birthday.
I definitely did. My girlfriend she spoiled me. She did VR, and we're going to Boston in the New
Oh,
Year's. And
nice.
then
Good old
on top
Boston.
of that, yeah, we went to a theater show, and she took me out for breakfast, lunch, dinner. It was fantastic. She did a great job. She made it a great day.
That's good.
Yeah, she's a big birthday person. So, it's kind of fun. I'm not so much, but she does make it a big deal. And then it kind of gives me an excuse to feel good about myself.
Well, not just that, but then you've got to try and top it for her birthdays now. So it's like a bit like a competition, isn't it, as well?
Yes, we're both quite competitive. Kind of the unspoken rule that you try and one up the other person. At least that's what I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, I look
But
forward to
yeah, I
hearing
just
about you
turned
for her.
22. Plenty of time till I turn 30. But still so much to learn, right?
Exactly. And by the way, I'm closer to 30 than you are, so don't worry about it.
Well, that's good to know. That makes me feel better about myself.
Yeah. You're very
Yeah,
welcome. You're
yeah.
very welcome for that. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been a pleasure having you on the show as always because you're a fun chap, and I hope that you come back to England at some point and come to the best city in the world, not where you are, but right here, literally behind me, here in Manchester, UK. You have to come over to Manchester, England, so we can meet in person.
That would be wonderful. I would kill to go to a Manchester game. That would be wild.
Well, I mean, who is your team? If you come to Manchester,
The
who will
problem
be
is,
it?
I don't have a team. Being Italian, maybe I'd say Juventus is
Okay.
what I stand for.
Yeah.
And I think, culturally I have to stick with Juventus. But
Yeah.
man, would it be cool? I've never watched a professional soccer game live other than, TFC,
Yeah.
but that was a long time ago. So yeah, it would be incredible.
Well, I mean, because we have two Manchester teams, and you just said I would love to go to a Manchester team. So, I mean, which one, blue or red? Which one would you go to?
I don't know.
Is it the
I see
question?
red a lot, so I feel like I'd go to red.
Yes!
I don't know.
We got it in common. I was hoping you would say a red and not a blue. I would have booed you off the show otherwise, but you can stay. You can stay.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
thing where I might start a discussion with you about absolutely, yeah, do not support blue. So yes, we're on the same page.
You got it.
Love it. Talk to my viewers and listeners as well where they can find you on social media and where they can find your show because we've already mentioned it loads of times on the show, and of course people are probably wondering what on earth can I find the show? What's it called and what's it about? So please do plug that as well because that's the most important bit as
Thank you.
well.
Thank you, Edward. I appreciate that. So you can find my personal Samuel.Miele. That's Miele. And then on top of that, on Instagram, you can just search up at my generation. And that's my tag. And you can find my show. It's called My Generation. I like to sit down with my generation, of course, and discuss some of the most trending issues, challenges. And one of the things you'll notice a lot about my show is I do have a panel or differing views. I try and challenge think critically, ask tough questions, but then on top of that as well, try and have diverse views. Even when I do solo shows, I'll try and challenge the individual that I'm speaking with. You'll learn a thing or two, and you'll certainly understand more of me and my curiosity and where my head's at. So,
And where can people find the show? Can they watch it on YouTube or can they watch it
yes,
on
you can
TV?
search up. If you go to My Generation on Instagram, you can find all the links that you need or anything like
Okay,
that. Or you could just search up My Generation TV, or you could just search up my name and it'll come up as well on
perfect.
YouTube. We're only in cable across Canada,
That's cool.
not globally. So, you can't watch me on actual TV. However, you can watch me on YouTube or on Instagram or
Well,
TikTok.
technically, they can watch you on TV if they connect their phones to the TV.
There you
There
go.
you
Then
go.
then you can boost our online viewership. I
Yes,
love it.
yes.
Yeah,
Because I'm about modern day technology, despite not a clue about it because I'm very much old fashioned. But yes, they can do it that way. So technically, they can watch you on their TV in their
got it.
bedrooms, or wherever they want to watch or listen to you. You might get people come up to you saying, "I listen to you in the bathroom when I'm doing whatever in the bathroom or
You
in."
never know. You
Yeah,
never know.
yeah,
You really
yeah,
never know.
yeah. And I'm waiting for somebody to say that I listen to this in the bathroom while I'm doing a number two or something like that. You never know.
You never know what people might say.
Yeah,
It's the public.
yeah. So have you got any? Well, so what are your, I guess, goals then? What are your goals you want to accomplish in your career before you get to 30?
Yeah, good question. Would love to sell my company before the age of 30.
Really? Why?
Yeah. And I would love to go all in on not necessarily maybe broadcast, but my brand and encouraging people to critically think, sharing perspectives, throwing some big events in Canada.
Oh, cool.
That would be a big goal. We're really trying to work on My Gen Live, which would be the largest conference in Canada for youth.
That's cool.
And so, hey, things go well, you try and pull it off, you put it together. I really want to seek that passion and purpose. I have a deep passion for the youth. I've spoken to them a lot, and it's a lot of fun. I also just enjoy encouraging them to think more critically, and that empowers them to chase curiosity and be genuine curious about everything that they do. And I believe curiosity, if you feel comfortable to chase your curiosity, you're not afraid to fail because you just be curious.
Mm,
Try something new. I wonder what happens if I did this. Let me try it. Right.
yeah.
And so that's a big goal for me is sell a company, throw the MyGen Live event, and have kids, have a family. That would be another big one as well. And I'd probably say that's enough for 30.
I like your thinking, but I was quite surprised when you said I'm going to sell my company. I think, wow, okay, well, you've got risks, and I can't wait for those risks to pay off and be successful for you. I can't wait to see when you pop this event on in Canada as well. I hope it just won't be for locals. I hope you will, maybe the first one could be for locals, and then when you decide to top that, invite people from across the world to come to your
Yeah,
event. I would love to come to your event.
that would
Uh,
be incredible. That would
yeah,
be a dream true.
yeah, I would love to. I would love to come to your event and meet you in person if you don't come here first, and check out your brand and what it all stands for, and just hang out at your convention. It'd be great, and I'd be happy to support you and your brand.
Well, thank you, Edward. I really appreciate that. And I love everything that you're doing. You're a phenomenal host.
Oh, thank
You
you.
ask great questions. You keep people engaged. You
I
know how to
try.
make good tea. Let's put it that way.
Well, I try to because you got to keep them engaged because you might have people falling asleep halfway through or trying to fall asleep halfway through. You got to keep them awake. You got to do something to grab their attention as well. And you do the same on your show. You do a fantastic job at keeping the conversation flowing and having those hard hitting debates when needed and being open and you've got emotion, you've got compassion, you've got just all
Thank
round
you.
great guy. And another person I have to say is that people say you should go into acting
Ah,
as well.
I one day that would actually be a pure joy.
Yeah,
That would be incredible.
yeah, yeah. And you'd be great. You'd be great.
Yeah, thank you.
There,
That would be a lot of fun. I
there'd
won't
be
lie.
there's a particular I guess role I could see you doing, but I don't think you will like what I was saying about it. So because you got a great physique for it, but it will just be you getting killed off by a villain.
Well, hey, maybe if I can get killed off by like, I don't know, Iron Man or something, I'd be happy.
Well, never say never. You never know. The world is your oyster, as they say, don't they? So never
Well,
say
thank
never.
you.
But I do hope, though, that we can keep in touch as well. That you can come back on the show again, as long as you don't sign a deal where you're exclusive somewhere where you're not able to make appearances on other people's podcasts. Then I would be happy to have you back on the show because you're more than welcome to come back on whenever you want to share something. Could be about you selling your company or having, I don't know, something new happening with your brand or with that convention as well. Whatever it may be,
Oh, thank you.
you're allowed to come back on it anytime you like.
Thank you very much, Edward. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Been a
And
pleasure.
I'm glad if you got to this far in the show, so I'm happy if you did because for some reason the hours of technology has now ironed out. So no, don't know why it happened, but for the first, I don't know, half the show, it's like it didn't want to work. So, but we have recorded this as well, just in case when we upload to the audio platforms that there's some issues with some of the sound. We recorded it, so it should be fine for the audio side of things. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show as always, Sam. And I do again, as I say, you are truly welcome to come on here. But I do want to know one more thing from you is any suggestions of guests who I should bring on this show after you to follow in your footsteps?
You know what? That's a great question. I would probably say, who would I say? Who would I say would be a
Yeah,
fantastic guest? I'm trying to think. You know what? I would love for you to interview, you know, who'd be great would be David Ward,
David
the
Ward.
individual that I interviewed. That would be a beautiful story. And
Perfect.
I'm sure you would do a great job telling it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And I hope as well that you know I will continue to watch what you post as well. I think I do follow you on Instagram. I'm going to actually check that right now as we speak. I don't want to start
Oh, thank you.
spouting things and then people say, "I think you're not following him," and I say, I am following you already." So yeah, I am following you, and I think the last thing you posted was on May the 1st, which I did and
Ah,
commented on it, and I need to delete that because I commented saying, "I hope you enjoyed your time in England because you were back in England in May at the National Hospitality and Tourism Conference."
yep.
In England. I don't know where that was. It was somewhere down south from me, probably near London or somewhere like that. I could be completely wrong. It might be not. Maybe it might be up north. But you know better than I do. But then I commented on that. I don't think you saw it, but I commented 6 weeks ago. I don't know if you. I said, "I hope you enjoyed your time in England back in May at Samuel.Migor. I have sent you a message request on here. Hope you received it." And then of course, I did, and also commented on elsewhere, and you saw it elsewhere, which is great. And but yeah, I am following your Instagram, and you do have your, of course, My Generation TV show as well, which you last posted 4 days ago on that platform. I also will follow there as well. But
Oh,
yes,
thank you very much.
no, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure. To get to know you, and again, am a fan from England. I bet you don't get many people from England watching you. I guess, or maybe you
No,
do.
I don't, and that's why I appreciate so much that that you are watching me, and I that means a lot. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Anytime. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to smash the like button, share the video around, tell everybody about Samuel, about how he is the best broadcaster, journalist in Canada. You know, who can knock him off his perch? Nobody can. Trust me about that.
Oh,
If
I
you want
would
to see
see
more
come.
of my great content, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We've got over 349 subscribers. We're only one away from 350 subscribers here on YouTube. Never thought I'd get to 350, but there we go. And then we've only got 50 more to go. Then we've got 51 followers to go to get to 400 subscribers. Can we do it before the end of this year? Help me to get to 400 subscribers today by subscribing. And you never know, when we get to 500, we might do a giveaway. Well, I don't know what the giveaway will be, but let's go and get to 500 to do a giveaway. I always want to do a giveaway, so let's do a giveaway. But, I mean, I don't think Samuel does that on his show, give giveaways away. Do you, Samuel?
I used to.
Okay. What did you used to do? What kind of giveaways did you used to do?
I used to do cash giveaways for people that would actually follow, download, and engage in the episodes.
That's good. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it worked. And I guess you don't do that anymore because what's your reason now? Is that because you got too rich?
I don't know, or I didn't get rich enough and I can't afford the cash giveaways.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, we might follow in those footsteps of Samuel with these cash giveaways. Who knows what it might be? You have a way to 500 subscribers. But how do we get there today? And until the next episode, which I believe is on Thursday, with a returning guest who has been on the show, I think now twice, I could be wrong, called James Lawrence. He's, of course, a fantastic musician. He's also works for Disney as well. He works for FX and has been a part of some great shows for them. He's also worked with, get this, Sam, he's also worked with Mr. Beast on his game show on Amazon. So there you go. So big guests here on the show, and you're a part of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congrats, Edward. And I can't wait to continue following your journey.
Oh, thank you. And likewise to you as well. And until the next episode, which will be on Thursday, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening or afternoon, depending where you're watching this or listening to this from.